gave them food and shelter when they didn't have it. Not saying they couldn't get it, but they know the situations that they were in. You know what I mean? As school kids. And
they were in school. They got kicked out, you said?
Both of them got kicked out.
Both of them got kicked out, and you gave them food and shelter. How did you have money for food and shelter?
I learned how to do it. What you talking about, man?
What's the chances of you, Cam, and Mace getting back?
I don't think it's really going to happen. We two different type of people. Always have. Competitive nature always been first before friendship. Remember, Cam, my man. It's not.
So it's not you.
I took the position of my position.
You were fanned out and you begged me to come to your house after you heard all these mixtapes. That's how you got in. You was so cool. And we was like, yo, Jomo's a nice guy. Mace like, yo, I think I'll teach him how to rap. Mace actually taught you how to rap. Literally. He taught you how to rap.
Definition, Jimmy, because when you think, if I ask anybody on the streets of New York, like, give me some adjective or definition of Jim Jones, what do you think one of the words would be?
I would hope a survivor, a visionary, a philanthropist, a person with a big heart, a person that stands on 10 toes. Not perfect. He's a perfect example of what can happen for you in life if you believe in yourself.
This is uncharted territory.
The Harlem streets are buzzing, and the internet is on fire as Jim Jones finds himself at the center of a major scandal. For years, fans and fellow rappers have looked up to him as a voice of the Harlem streets. But now, his credibility is being questioned like never before. Maze and Cameron have stepped forward, calling out Jim Jones in a shocking public showdown that exposes lies about his claims and his role in the Harlem scene. The backlash is immediate and intense, with social media erupting as fans dissect every word, every post, and every video clip from the confrontation. This isn't just another rap beef. It's a clash of reputations, street credibility, and personal pride. Played out on a public stage where the world is watching, Jim Jones is being humiliated in real time as Maze and Cameron lay out evidence that paints a completely different picture than what fans have been told. The reactions are wild, the comments brutal, and the tension unmissable. Every fan has an opinion, and the arguments are heating up online, making this one of the most talked about moments in Harlem rap history. Prepare yourself for shocking revelations, intense confrontations, and a fallout that no one saw coming. This is the kind of drama that changes how fans see their favorite rappers, shakes up the community, and leaves everyone wondering, can Jim Jones recover from this public exposure? Or has his credibility in Harlem been permanently damaged? The truth is finally coming out, and it's more explosive than anyone imagined. The Harlem streets were alive with whispers, rumors, and the electric tension that only comes when legends clash. Jim Jones had long cultivated his image as a voice of Harlem, a street icon whose credibility and loyalty to his city were unquestioned. So his fans believed. But that image came crashing down in a way no one saw coming. Maze and Cameron, two of Harlem's most respected figures, were stepping into the ring, and this wasn't going to be a simple call-out. It was a full-scale public exposure. The stakes were high, and the fallout was about to shake the rap community to its core. It all started with subtle hints, online posts, and stories from Maze and Cameron suggesting that Jim Jones had exaggerated his street influence, twisting the truth about his history and the role he played in Harlem. Fans initially dismissed it as standard rap drama, but soon undeniable evidence began surfacing. Old footage, interviews, and first-hand accounts painted a picture that contradicted Jim Jones' claims. Social media exploded with hashtags trending within hours. Fans are divided. Some defended Jim Jones, citing loyalty and respect, while others began scrutinizing his every word and action. The pressure was mounting, and the public humiliation was only just beginning. The confrontation itself unfolded during a hyper event, BROADCAST, and recorded for all to see. Jim Jones, confident as ever, stepped onto the stage with his signature swagger. Unaware that Maze and Cameron had come prepared to dismantle the carefully constructed image he had projected. For years, as soon as the discussion began, the room's energy shifted. The cameras caught every details. Jim Jones' smirk faltering, eyes darting nervously, the subtle tension in his posture betraying the cracks in his confidence. Fans watching online could feel it too. This was the moment where reputation collided with truth. Cameron took the microphone first, his tone calm but piercing. Jim, for years you've been telling stories about Harlem, about your influence, about your history, but we're here to set the record straight. The words landed like a punch, and the crowd reacted immediately, murmurs and gasps filling the room. Jim Jones opened his mouth to respond, but Cameron wasn't finished. It's not about disrespect, it's about facts. The people in Harlem know the truth, and for those who've been listening, it's time to hear the real story. M.A. followed his delivery, precise and unflinching. You've built an image, Jim, but when we look at the streets, at the history, at the people you claim to represent, it doesn't match up. It's not about hating, it's about being honest. The statements hit hard, and for the first time, Jim Jones' composure wavered. His reputation, meticulously crafted over decades, was unraveling in real time, and the cameras captured every flicker of doubt, every hesitation, every subtle sign of panic. Fans watching online flooded the comment sections, debating, analyzing, and replaying clips as the confrontation unfolded. The intensity of the moment grew as Jim Jones tried to defend himself. "Y'all don't know what you're talking about?" he insisted, though his voice lacked its usual certainty. "I've lived this life. I've been through these streets. I represent Harlem." But Cameron, with a calm but authoritative tone, countered, "Representing Harlem isn't about claiming it on social media or telling stories. It's about the truth, the history, the people who built it, and that's where you've fallen short. Maze, we're not here to embarrass you. We're here to remind you, and the fans, that credibility matters. When you lie about your influence, it's not just you. It affects everyone who looks up to you." The crowd's reaction was immediate and deafening. Gasps, cheers, and murmurs filled the air as Jim Jones' confident facade began to crumble. His responses grew defensive, his tone sharper, but less convincing. Every fan online could sense the shift, the unraveling of an image that many had long admired. Social media exploded with clips of the confrontation going viral in minutes. Memes, reaction videos, and debates flooded platforms with fans dissecting every gesture, every word, and every facial expression. The backlash was real, and the public humiliation was far from over. As part 1 progressed, focus shifted from the initial exposure to the reactions and consequences. Fans on social media were relentless, calling out inconsistencies in Jim Jones' past interviews, videos, and statements. Cameron and Maze continued to press, providing evidence and stories that directly contradicted Jim Jones' claims. The contrast was undeniable, and the tension in the room reached a fever pitch. Jim Jones attempted to redirect, to assert control, but every attempt only intensified the scrutiny. Fans could sense the desperation, the faltering confidence, the public unraveling of a man who had long been considered untouchable in his own city. The emotional weight of the confrontation was palpable. Jim Jones had always been known for his charisma, his confidence, and his ability to command respect. But facing two respected figures willing to publicly expose the truth shifted the dynamic entirely. The cameras captured the subtle signs, the slight trembling of his hands, the pause before answering, the quick glances toward the crowd as if seeking validation. Fans online shared every second, dissecting body language and tone, creating a storm of opinions, reactions, and viral content. As part 1 comes to a close, the confrontation has set the stage for even more intense drama. Jim Jones' image is shaken, his credibility questioned, and the streets of Harlem, the internet, are watching closely. Part 2 promises to delve deeper into the fallout, revealing how the exposure affects his relationships, alliances, and influence. Fans are left on edge, eagerly awaiting the next chapter in this explosive Harlem showdown. Will Jim Jones respond? With honesty, defiance, or retreat? The answers are coming, and the intensity is only escalating. The fallout from part 1 hit immediately. Social media erupted with clips of the confrontation, each replay dissecting Jim Jones' every word, gesture, and expression. Fans were ruthless, some calling him out for exaggerating his street influence. Others shocked that Maze and Cameron were publicly challenging one of Harlem's most recognizable figures. Hashtags began trending within minutes, with debates splitting the fanbase into two camps: loyal supporters defending Jim Jones and critics insisting the truth had finally come to light. Back in the room, the tension was palpable. Jim Jones could feel the weight of the exposure pressing down on him. His confidence had been shaken, and he was struggling to regain control. Every attempt at justification only seemed to fuel Cameron. And Maze's argument, Cameron leaned forward, voice calm but firm, each word calculated to cut through the facade. "Jim, the fans see what we see. The streets know the truth. You've been building a narrative about yourself for years, but it doesn't match reality. It's time to face that." The crowd reacted instantly, a mix of gasps, cheers, and murmurs filling the space. Maze followed, presenting evidence that left little room for denial. "We've got footage, interviews, stories from people who've lived it. This isn't personal, it's factual. You've misrepresented your role, and the streets deserve the truth." He laid out detailed points, referencing past claims, public statements, and events Jim Jones had spoken about as if he were the central figure. Whether he could ever recover from this public humiliation? As the confrontation escalated, Jim Jones tried another angle, calling on his past achievements and influence. "I've been in the game for years, built careers, represented Harlem. You can't erase that." But Cameron, with an almost surgical precision, dismantled each claim. "Experience doesn't equal credibility, Jim. The streets aren't fooled. Influence isn't about being loud or visible. It's about respect, history, and authenticity, and that's where you fall short." The audience reacted loudly, the sound of agreement echoing across the room. The emotional tension became almost tangible. Jim Jones' face showed signs of stress, the cracks in his confident persona impossible to hide. Mays pressed further, calmly but firmly presenting accounts that contradicted Jim Jones' claims. Citing events, people, and time, each point further weakened Jim Jones' position, leaving him struggling for responses. Fans watching online were enthralled, some shocked, others gleeful. As the unraveling of a Harlem legend played out in real time, Cameron leaned in, pointing directly at Jim Jones. "This isn't just about pride, Jim. This is about truth. You've been presenting a story that isn't accurate. And when we stand here telling the facts, the audience sees it. Your credibility is on the line. How you handle this defines your legacy." The weight of the statement was palpable. The cameras captured Jim Jones' reaction, a mixture of defensiveness, frustration, and panic. For the first time, the confident persona that fans had long admired was slipping in front of a live audience. Fans online were merciless. Twitter threads exploded with reactions. YouTube comment sections flooded with debates, and TikTok clips of Jim Jones' stammering replies went viral within minutes. The combination of past claims, evidence presented by Mays and Cameron, and Jim Jones' increasing Gleis-trained defenses created a perfect storm. Public opinion began shifting, and the conversation quickly moved beyond the room. Harlem hip-hop communities and global fans were weighing in. The confrontation reached a peak when Jim Jones attempted to shift focus. "You think this is just about me? The streets know what I've done, what I've built. You're trying to humiliate me publicly, but it won't work." Cameron responded sharply. "It's not about humiliation. It's about the truth. You can't spin facts. You can't control how the streets see what you've claimed. When history is wrong, it's corrected," Mays added. "Fans look up to honesty. Lies eventually get exposed. Today is that moment." The room was filled with energy as Jim Jones' frustration boiled over. Sweat formed on his brow. His words came faster, more defensive but less convincing. "I've lived this life. I've represented Harlem. I've done for the streets what no one else could," he shouted. Cameron shook his head, calm and collected. "You've done things, yes, but not in the way you've told everyone. That's the difference. Representation is more than presence. It's authenticity." Mays was steady, reinforcing the impact of their combined exposure. By the end of part 2, Jim Jones was reeling. His image, carefully curated over decades, was under siege, and the backlash online had reached a fever pitch. Fans debated endlessly, some calling him out for misrepresentation, others sympathizing, but the consensus was clear. The confrontation had exposed cracks in his street credibility. The tension was far from over, and part 3 promised the fallout. The reactions from Harlem's community and the ultimate consequences for Jim Jones' reputation. The tension in the room was unbearable. Jim Jones' composure had long since cracked, and the audience could feel it. Every word, every gesture, every faltering glance betrayed the cracks in the persona he had spent years building. Mays and Cameron, on the other hand, remained calm, controlled, and unwavering, each statement landing like a hammer, driving the truth home. The confrontation was no longer just about reputation. It was about accountability, street credibility, and the legacy Jim Jones had cultivated in Harlem. Fans watching live and online were in disbelief. Clips of Jim Jones' defensive stammering spread like wildfire on social media, generating a frenzy of comments, debates, and memes. Some fans were calling it poetic justice. Others were dissecting his every word and facial expression. The consensus, however, was clear. Jim Jones was being exposed in real time, and it was devastating for his image. Cameron leaned forward, his eyes locking onto Jim Jones. "You've been telling stories about Harlem for years, but the truth doesn't match what you've claimed. The streets see it, the fans see it, and history will see it. This isn't disrespect, it's reality," Mays added, methodically dismantling any attempt at spin. "Jim, you can try to defend yourself, but the facts speak louder than your words. Influence isn't about clout or visibility, it's about authenticity. The streets know who's real and who's fabricating. Today, that distinction becomes clear." Jim Jones' responses were weaker now, his usual bravado replaced by frustration and panic. He attempted to cite past accomplishments, but Cameron and Mays were ready, countering each point with documented evidence, eyewitness accounts, and historical references. Every rebuttal chipped away at Jim Jones' credibility further. The audience reaction was deafening. Gasps, murmurs, and cheers filled the room. While online viewers bombarded comment sections with reactions ranging from shock to amusement, Memes mocking Jim Jones began trending. Reaction videos analyzing his demeanor went viral, and fan debates dominated every platform. The humiliation was tangible. It's a perfect storm, amplified by social media and the relentless scrutiny of fans and peers alike. As the confrontation intensified, Jim Jones attempted a last-ditch effort to regain control. "I've represented Harlem. I've been loyal to the streets, and I've done what few could do," he shouted, his voice shaking. But Cameron's response cut through it like a blade. "Representation isn't about claiming it to made mistakes. Misrepresented your influence, and today it's being called out. That's accountability, Jim, and this is what happens when reality meets exaggeration." Mays added, "History is clear. Fans respect authenticity. You can't rewrite the narrative once the truth is out." The room grew silent as Jim Jones struggled to regain composure. Sweat dotted his forehead. His hands shook slightly, and his voice faltered as he tried to argue further. Each pause was a public admission of vulnerability, captured by cameras and analyzed by millions online. Social media users were relentless, sharing clips, creating threads, and debating whether Jim Jones could ever recover from this public exposure. The contrast between him and the calm, assertive presence of Mays and Cameron was stark, driving home the impact of the confrontation. Fans watching knew this was more than a moment of embarrassment. It was a shift in Harlem's rap hierarchy. Jim Jones' credibility, carefully cultivated over decades, had been publicly questioned and exposed. The fallout was immediate. Podcasts, YouTube channels, and social media influencers dissected every aspect of the confrontation, and discussions about authenticity in the Harlem rap scene dominated conversations. Jim Jones faced not only the embarrassment of being exposed by his peers, but also the scrutiny of a fan base that demanded honesty and integrity. The emotional weight of the confrontation reached its peak when Cameron delivered his final words. "This isn't about disrespect, it's about truth. The streets see the difference between real and fabricated. Today, the record is set straight. Fans, history." If you want to see every shocking moment of this Harlem showdown, subscribe now and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single update. This story isn't over. The fallout is still unfolding, and fans are demanding answers. From Jim Jones' attempts to defend himself to Malaya and Cameron's unflinching exposure, every clip is essential viewing for anyone following the drama. Join the conversation in the comments. Share your thoughts on Jim Jones' credibility, Cameron and Mays' actions, and the fan reactions online. Who do you think was in the right? How will this affect Jim Jones' legacy in Harlem? Your opinion matters, and we love hearing from fans who stay engaged and passionate about the hip-hop community. Don't forget to like this video. It helps us bring you more in-depth coverage of explosive celebrity and rap industry moments. Share it with your friends to keep them updated on the drama that's shaking Harlem to its core. Stay tuned for exclusive behind-the-scenes content, reaction breakdowns, and follow-ups that dive even deeper into the consequences of this confrontation. Subscribe today and be part of the conversation, because the story of Jim Jones, Mays, and Cameron is far from over, and you'll want to see how the fallout continues to unfold.